reach beyond with virtualization and cloud services from Net4.
This is the Times Television Network, and you're watching ET Now.
Markets gained 5% for the week, but on the 8th day, the bulls run out of steam. Investors book profit in the IT and the banking pack. The Nifty holds 5,800. It's a big thumbs up for Indian equities. Mark Mobius says foreign institutional investors will continue to pump in money into the Indian market. The Central Bureau of Investigation will file its first charge sheet in the 2G scam case tomorrow, and sources tell ET Now that Unitech's Sanjay Chandra is likely to be named on charges of forgery and also bribery. After parting ways with SR, Vodafone is now keen to monetize its tower assets, will push for the listing of Indus Towers. Motown ends financial year 2011 in amazing style. Sales are up in top gear. Even for March, TVS Motors surpasses its annual target of 2 million units. Maruti Suzuki and M&M sell more than they ever have. Crompton Greaves is in talks to buy European smart meter manufacturer Landis & Gyr for $1 billion. India's sole procurer and warehouse of food grains, the Food Corporation of India will be split into 3 distinct verticals to make it more efficient. And less than 24 hours to go before the first ball is bowled in the finals tomorrow. Team India and the Lankans are gearing up. 2 nations wait with bated breath, and Wankhede Stadium turns into a virtual fortress. It's so good to have you on this fresh edition of Rush Hour right here on ET Now. And first up, there's plenty of news coming in from the Indian indices, and it looks like it's all good news. The markets did end the week with a 5% gain, but for the 8th day in a row, the bulls seem to have lost some steam in trade today. The markets ended flat as investors booked profit both in the IT and the banking pack. Smita Bhattacharya is here with more details from Dalal Street. Smita, never wear that color red. It looks like the bulls got some inspiration going there.
Well, absolutely. In fact, some caution seemed to have returned to the markets after 8 consecutive day of gains. The indices really ending flat with a negative bias. Now, the sectors which, felt the pressure today was really the banking pack, but Realty that managed and has been managing for the past couple of sessions as well. Today also was a good day. And the ADAG pack, some stocks from there also did well. Reliance Capital, Reliance Communication being 2 stocks in point. And the other gainers, we are Hindustan Oil up, Suzlon Energy up. And the auto sales numbers also caused cheer to a few of the stocks. Maruti, in fact, they posted the higher ever monthly sales. That stock saw some action coming in. TVS Motors, though, showed strong gains. Tata Motors and M&M were the other stocks which were in focus. Also, other stocks in news, Tinplate was up and sharply up after the news came on that Tata Steel has raised a stake in the company, converting its debentures. Mindtree on the new chairman news coming out was also up in trade. Kingfisher on the conversion of its convertible preference shares was also up, and so was Backfilms and allotment of stocks to ARVR Communication. The Nifty losers, what really caused the pressure was NTPC and SBI. For the whole week, we were reasonably well, 3% up on the Nifty. The top gainers were the Realty pack, DLF was one of them, Hero Honda and Maruti in the auto pack. And the paper stocks was where the real action was after the big deal between AP Paper and International Paper. Back to you.
Thanks very much for getting us those details there. Have yourself a lovely weekend, and I hope you're going to be catching that match in the Wankhede Stadium right here in Mumbai. Smita Bhattacharya there with details from Dalal Street. And let's get to the big boys that we have for you on the show this evening. Frankel Templeton's Mark Mobius has given a huge thumbs up to Indian equities. Now, Mobius believes that foreign institutional investors will continue to pump in funds in the Indian markets.
During the subprime crisis, everybody rushed out of everything, including emerging markets, and they moved into U.S. Treasuries and U.S. dollars. This time, with 2 crises, Japan and the Middle East, you haven't seen that. In fact, the dollar index got weaker during this period. During the subprime, dollar index went up. Now it's weaker. What does that mean? It means that the perception of risk in emerging markets has gone down. I think people are beginning to wake up to the reality that U.S. and U.S. Treasuries, U.S. dollars and U.S. Treasuries are not a safe haven, because they learned from bitter experience that their currencies have gotten stronger against the U.S. dollar. And Indian investors have experienced that, right? Your currency has gotten stronger against the U.S. dollar. So it didn't make sense for you to be in a U.S. dollar instrument that's paying 1% or less, where you can get 10% in India in a stronger currency.
And watch an entire interview with Mark Mobius and Nikunj Dalmia of ET Now. That's coming up exclusively at 7:30 right here on ET Now this evening. Away from the big voice that we had for you on the show this evening, let's get you the big stories that's coming in. Said the Central Bureau of Investigation in less than 24 hours will file its first charge sheet. Other than naming some telecom companies and also some high-profile individuals, it looks like it's actually going to name the top boss of Unitech in that charge sheet. So Chetna Ray has more details on that story, and she's joining us from New Delhi to take it forward. So Chetna, good to have you on this show. Sanjay Chandra does get the bait, doesn't he?
The Patiala House Court in New Delhi, and top source in CBI confirmed to us that Sanjay Chandra, the chief of Unitech, is likely to be booked in the first charge sheet itself. In fact, CBI sources tell us the charges against him include forgery and bribery. All this will come under the 120B of the IPC. He's also likely to be charged under the Prevention of Corruption Act, and all this is pertaining to the bagging of the 2G license. CBI has proof that Unitech actually floated about 8 companies to get 2G license on its behalf. None of these companies met any of the DOT norms that was set out. Also, we have to remember here that Unitech actually has a maze of companies in places like Cyprus and in Mauritius, where the bribe money that was given to top officials of the Department of Telecom was routed. And now coming to the companies which are likely to be mentioned tomorrow, apart from Unitech, we are hearing the name of Swan. And in regarding to the charges against Swan, we also pick up information that ADAG's name is also likely to come up. So apart from cricketing action tomorrow, there'll also be action at the courtroom.
Oh yes, at the Patiala House, plenty of action, at least for you. I'm not so sure if the entire world is going to be interested, considering India is going to be taking on the Lankans there. Thanks very much for getting us those pertinent details. Sanjay Chandra's name sources within the CBI tell ET Now could be appearing in that charge sheet. Meanwhile, the investigative agency has also filed its first charge sheet tomorrow, which is looking to do. It has said that it will be probing into the death of Sadiq Bacha, who was an aide of former Telecom Minister Andi Muthu Raja. On the CBI's request, the Supreme Court has also appointed senior advocate UU Lalit as special public prosecutor to conduct the 2G scam trial before a special court. Now remember, Bacha had died under mysterious circumstances at his home in Chennai on the 16th of March. Away from CBI and all that ongoing investigation to a divorce that has just happened. Yes, we are referring to Vodafone and SR, and it looks like after parting ways with the Ruiyas, Vodafone is rather keen to monetize its tower assets. Gauri Dwivedi has more details on that story, and she's joining us from New Delhi to take it forward. Gauri.
So Priya, what we're really picking up at this stage is that Vodafone is quite keen to monetize its tower assets. That includes, of course, the 42% stake it owns in Indus Towers, and also the 8,000 odd towers that it owns independently in its own portfolio. What we're really picking up here is that it is keen to actually merge its 8,000 towers portfolio with Indus Towers, and then of course go for an IPO of the company. Remember, this is something that has been in the works for some time. Bharti is quite keen on an IPO of Indus Towers, simply because it just makes payment for Zain that much easier for it. As far as Vodafone is concerned, it's also quite keen that the IPO should happen, but there was a tussle between its Indian partner. SR was clear that there should be the proceeds of the Indus Towers IPO, whatever is Vodafone's stake, there should be some stake that should actually be given to SR as well, given the fact that the company had 33% stake in the company. Given that divorce has now taken place, it just makes life that much easier for Vodafone. It's quite clear that tower assets need to be monetized. It needs that money for its Indian operations. As far as the shareholding pattern of the company is concerned, 42% is held by Vodafone, 42% is held by Bharti Airtel as well, and Idea Cellular has a minority 16% odd stake. And given the fact that Vodafone is quite clear that it will add its 8,000 towers as well to Indus, it will just give a little more, it will give an edge over Airtel, and then of course an IPO is expected to happen pretty shortly.
Gauri Dwivedi, thanks very much for getting us those details. And life is not always so complicated. Sometimes after a divorce, things do get simplified. Thanks indeed very much for getting us that story that's also flashing on the bottom of your screens there. The Andhra Pradesh International Paper deal caused Built to rethink its IPO plans. Built will perhaps delay its debut on the London Stock Exchange. Why have the plans been put on the back burner? We'll just tell you in a while. Stay with us.
This show brought to you by Allahabad Bank. हर कदम आपके साथ.
रहिए ऑलवेज एक्टिव LG AC के हेल्दी और प्योर एयर के साथ. Life's good when your world is energized.
Skills development for employment is important for inclusive growth. Strategic partnerships are critical for bridging the skills gap.
The gap is huge. The opportunity is massive. And bringing our expertise to create into the skills to succeed.
Accenture and the Economic Times present Skills to Succeed, Social and Economic Empowerment for a High-Performance Nation. A panel discussion on skill development imperatives. Only on ET Now.
Brought to you by Accenture. High performance delivered.
The all-new Chevrolet Spark, now at a special price of rupees 2.79 lakh only. Hurry, limited period offer. Buy now.
Great to have you back once again in rush hour this evening, and straight on to Motown then. Auto sales in the last month of the fiscal year remain in top gear. Two-wheeler maker TVS Motors, in fact, has surpassed its annual sale target of 2 million units, and Maruti Suzuki and M&M posted their highest ever volumes. ET Now's Vishal Bhargav is here to steer us through all of those numbers that came in earlier in the day today. Vishal.
Extremely strong when it comes to auto sales for the month of March. Most of the companies clocking the highest ever volumes. In the case of TVS, clocking the second highest volumes that they have in their history. Sales at about 1.91 lakh units. That's up close to about 28% for the company on a YOY basis. And the important thing is that the company has attained the target that it had set out for itself at the start of the year of 2 million units. With this performance in the month of March, it has surpassed that level. Besides that, there's Maruti Suzuki, highest ever volumes that we have seen for the company in its lifetime history. Sales at about 1.21 lakh units. That's up again 28%. And of course, domestic sales clearly leading the way, up 39%. Exports, which has been an area of concern for the company in the last 6 to 7 months, continue their rather sluggish note. Export volumes down 26%. Mahindra & Mahindra, well, yes, strong pickup in across segments for the company in terms of volume. So you saw the overall volumes at 37,500, but we saw passenger vehicles doing well. We saw Logan doing fairly well once again. Logan sales, in fact, at 1,018 units versus about 350. So that's almost tripled for the company. And of course, highest ever sales for M&M as well. And lastly, there's Tata Motors. Well, yes, there was some degree of concern until November over Nano. I think most of the concerns should be laid to rest given the type of performance we have seen from the Nano over the last 3 months. Nano sales at about 8,700 units, and the company itself clocking sales higher by about 10% on a YOY basis at about 83,000 units, clocking also its highest ever sales. So all in all, a fantastic performance once again from all the companies. It will be interesting to see whether the growth continues, because what analysts as well as companies are saying is that while growth will reduce, the growth rate should still be in the range of about 12 to 15%.
Vishal Bhargav, thanks very much for getting us all of those details from those 4 companies. Motown clearly in the pink of health, it seems. ET Now Sumit Chaturvedi also caught up with RC Bhargav, the chairman of Maruti Suzuki, a company that's actually sold 1 million cars last month.
As the market in India is and what it is likely to be, I think hatchbacks will continue to be the larger part of the market. But of course, sedans are very much there. You know, the Dzire is a very popular car. The SX4 now is becoming a very popular car. So sedans will continue to grow, but they will not by any means dominate the market.
So, looking at your absence in a multi-purpose vehicle market or SUV market, so for the next 1 crore vehicles, what kind of plans you have for tapping the SUV or MPV market in India?
We are not big in that market, as you correctly say, and I don't think we will become big in that market even in the next 10 million cars which we produce. I think the market will remain mostly the A1, A2 segment cars, and that will continue to grow in numbers faster than any of the other segments.
About the material cost, is it still rising? Are you able to, what is your take on that? Because